Hey, and welcome back to the Fi Guys. Today it's Fi Friday feedback, and we are recapping Monday's podcast all about the wonderful world of house hacking. So we're so happy to have you here.
Awesome. Welcome back, guys. Hope you enjoyed Monday's pod. Today we're going to be recapping, as Chris was talking about, house hacking. Let's talk about it. Let's freaking talk about it. First, we got to define it. If you're new here, you might not know what's a house hacker. What is that? Is that legal? What are we talking here? So, house hacking is a way to get into a property and have someone else pay basically the rent or the overhead on the property. Is that kind of a dumbed down version of that, Chris? Or do you want to give another?
Well, they wouldn't be paying
definition?
the rent; they'd be paying the mortgage.
The mortgage. That's right. They'd be paying the overhead, right?
Yeah. So basically, what it is you're leveraging multifamily properties to offset or eliminate your housing expenses. But what that basically means is you're going to move into a house that is more house than you currently need yourself in order to rent out either some of the rooms or some of the parts of the house. That could either be for like long-term rentals or it could be for Airbnbs, short-term rentals, but just ways to generate income. It's going to come to you to help pay off that mortgage and ideally even get some additional cash to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a good stepping stone to get into real estate, right?
I think it's the best way to get started into real estate because without house hacking, if you want to just go to straight into real estate, you're putting 25% down onto a rental property. And if you've never been a landlord or God forbid, even a homeowner before, that could be a really, really big jump. Because like I said on Monday's pod, the jump from homeowner to landlord isn't that big, but the jump from renter to homeowner is huge. But if you want to make that jump from renter to landlord, that's a huge chasm to jump for your first one.
It really is. It really is.
It might be a lot for someone to take on.
No, 100%. 100%. But there's a lot of benefits to house hacking. We know
there's
this.
a lot of benefits and there's so many different ways you can do it, right? Like you can purchase a house kind of like my house where it has a 4-bedroom house and there's only me and my wife. So, I mean, honestly, if we wanted to, we could rent out this office. We could rent out in our two spare guest bedrooms. We could have 3 other additional people living in this house with us, and they could pay pretty much for everything. Now, obviously, we're not going to do that, but that could be a strategy. Another strategy could be you could maybe buy a house that has like a separate basement and you could put a door on that basement and have people go in there for like an Airbnb. But the way that we typically like to recommend doing it is purchasing multi-property homes. So homes that have separate doors. So you can either buy a duplex where you have 2 separate doors with walls in between, a triplex, or even a quadplex where you can purchase 4 properties. Once you go above that, this no longer works. You're not house hacking anymore.
And you get into multifamily.
Yeah, you're into multifamily, which is a little bit different.
Different loans, different stuff like that.
Yeah, so multifamily would be more like apartments. Think about that for our audience member.
Anything 4 and above, anything 5 and above is multifamily. What the banks consider it, right?
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot of benefits. Let's continue getting into that. It can also bring you a little side cash. It's not necessarily a side hustle, but it definitely can be income generating, right?
I would say it is a side hustle.
It is.
I would definitely say that house hacking is a side hustle. So like the main benefit of house hacking is first off, you get mortgage mitigation. So rather than paying the full mortgage like you would if you were purchasing a house, you're getting that reduced or ideally even eliminated through your tenants paying you rent that you are using to pay the mortgage. Because remember, when you purchase a rental property, now you're having to probably that property and you're having to pay the mortgage and you're hoping that the rent will cover the mortgage. But when you're doing a house hack, you're qualifying for a loan with your own income. Now you have that loan and now you're having to pay the loan on the mortgage, but you're having the tenants that live there with you pay that loan for you. So you're getting the benefit of a rental property and you have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the big one, the mitigation. But your question was, would you consider it a house hack or a side hustle? And I certainly would, because whenever you house hack, you certainly shouldn't quit your job. You should always stay in your job because in order to qualify for a loan, you need that work. But anything that brings in additional income, I would say is a side hustle. And if this additional income is just paying your mortgage, you'd have to pay that mortgage regardless if you had the side hustle or not. So it's 100, or regardless if you had the house or not, or the house hack or not. So I would say it definitely constitutes the side hustle, especially as you can continue to scale it, right? Because you can do this every year.
Yeah. It wouldn't be a main hustle.
No,
it wouldn't be.
It could be a main hustle, but it's going to take some years of generating more and more properties.
Yeah. I think obviously real estate investing can and is a main hustle for a lot of people.
Mhm.
But house hacking it's a side hustle. We'll classify it as a side hustle.
Yeah,
So
but once you have your first house hack, and then once you move out of that house hack, and then you just have that house just becomes a rental.
mhm,
I'd say that's a full on, like that's a business.
yeah,
It is its true
yeah,
business, and it could become your main hustle, and could be able to leave work. So benefits, first one's is mortgage mitigation. The second one is it is income generating. Even that you do it right, you can actually bring in more than just the mortgage that you can use to either pay the expenses of the house, supply your lifestyle, or reinvest into other properties or into other investments like stocks and bonds, whatever it is that you do.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's what we love about it. Um, the income generation. We love
Mm-hmm.
that. We love the mortgage mitigation. We love all that. There's also a few other things. Asset
Mm-hmm.
appreciation, another
Yeah,
benefit
asset
of it.
appreciation. Yeah, because you're purchasing the house, right? And then you're hoping that the house is going to continue to appreciate. And that's all part of
Mhm.
making sure that you know what's going on with the property, that you're not just purchasing some dump because you can afford it. Luckily, since you have to live in it, most people aren't going to purchase something they don't want to live in. So you're purchasing something in a good area that you see has a reasonable ability to continue to grow and continue to get better because you're purchasing a good area, good schools, good everything. So hopefully that house will continue to appreciate in value. So you purchased it at, say, $200,000, and then you house hacked it. Well, in 3, 4 years, maybe 10 years, that house is now at $300,000. Well, now you also got a 50% gain on top of the purchase price, in addition to not having to pay the full mortgage because you had renters doing that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love that aspect of it. We love the principal pay down. We love all that. We love all that.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever we make money, what happens to that money? It gets
You,
taxed.
you got to pay them
Got to
taxes.
pay them taxes. But there are some tax advantages as well. House hacking, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can deduct your mortgage interest, you can deduct property taxes, you can also deduct depreciation on the house. And then if you do set it up as like an LLC, as its own separate business, you could even deduct any work you have to put on into the house. So anything like that for the tenants.
hmm Exactly.
Saying that you maybe supplied them with refrigerators or something like that. If that goes out, you can write that off as a business expense.
Yep. Yep. Um, would you say the last one is one of your favorites?
For me, it is because it comes down to making sure that you don't run out of money, or I'm always afraid of losing all of my money, so I'm a very big fan of diversification. So one of the nice things about house hacking is we're diversifying our income streams. Most people, they'll have their 401k at work, maybe a Roth IRA if they're lucky, they have their savings account, and they're like, that's enough, right? I have my buckets. But when you have something like real estate, you have another asset that should be zigging as stocks and bonds are zagging, or ideally they're all moving in unison together and moving up. But as stocks maybe plummet, real estate as a fixed income asset will continue to go up because it's not going to be moving up and down as much because it's limited to supply and demand of how many people want those properties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so those are the main benefits of house
Mm-hmm.
hacking. Obviously, there's one we didn't talk about in there. I don't think we talked about. You get to live in a house for free.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the main one. But obviously those are the five that we listed right there.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good stuff. Stuff you're not going to be getting if you're just living in a house by yourself, right?
No, certainly not. Right. I mean, think about the normal person. You go and you purchase a home and you're making the full payments on it. And that's all well and good. But if you purchased a home that is well bigger than yourself, with maybe the thought of one day this is going to be the house for my family, but you don't have that family yet, well, a house hack might be a good way to get that started. You are able to use the home that eventually will be filled, but right now is not being filled. And then as things change, maybe you have a baby, you have a kid, get rid of one of those tenants, and now it's okay to be able to use. Um, rather than purchasing a house that's smaller than what you know you're going to need eventually,
Mm-hmm.
and saying that I guess when I have the family and everything, I'll have to sell this house or turn it into a rental and then purchase a new home.
Yeah.
But again, it all comes down to what you also can qualify for too. Because while I might say go and buy a bigger house than you can afford or than you need right now, if you don't qualify for it, well, then it's all for naught. And that kind of leads us into the different lending options for when you're trying to do house hacking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to go back to something Chris said about when you have kids, then you just kick out the tenants. Like that just cracks me up. But make sure you do it excuse me, the legal way. Hit my microphone right there. Because there are a lot of tenant laws. There's all these tenant laws are just depending on what state you live in, they change differently. So yeah, make sure you're doing everything the correct way. Give it a quick Google search just to make sure everything is on the up and up.
Well, least. Yeah. The nice thing though is you have a tenant, you usually have a contract, and the contract defines how long they're inside the house, whether that be month to month, year, 2 years. So if you're planning on having kids in the next year, maybe when the time for that renewal, be like, hey, this is going to be the last time we're going to be doing this. I'm not saying, of course, hey, the kid just popped out. And I wasn't planning. Like I didn't know this was coming for the last 9 months, and here it is. Yeah. You need to leave. Like, you need to leave. All this comes with a little bit of forethought. Yeah. And it should be pretty simple to see. Yeah. But different lending options for house hacking, and of course there are a myriad of different ones. We didn't even talk about like VA loans because not everyone in our audience has that ability to them. So the most conventional one that people are going to use, and the one that you hear about a lot on TikTok or on Instagram of people saying like it's so easy, is going to be the FHA loan, which is the Federal Housing Administration loan. And the reason that this is so widely used is because it has a low down payment requirements, and it also has lenient credit score criteria. I know that a lot of people don't have great credit scores, so this is one that can really, really help. You don't have to be in the 760s to 800s to qualify for these loans. And you could still have a low down payment of 3.5% to qualify for the house.
Pretty good. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. That's better than 20%. Better than 25. 25%. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. Yeah, because I mean, we're talking, 25% on $100,000 home is
$25,000, and good luck finding a house for that $100,000.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you start getting up there, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. It's like, damn, I gotta come up with $100,000. This is crazy. Yep. Yeah. Loans can be a little bit tricky. So yeah, like Chris said earlier in the pod, this is a side hustle. Don't quit your job. Don't quit your job to do this because the banks need to see the work history and the income and a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. So that's the nice thing is you can keep your job and be able to still do this and bring in additional income. Yeah. But here at the Fi Guys, we're all about actually telling you the true nitty gritty and telling you the truth about everything. So while I said it's only 3.5% in order to qualify for the HSA, to put it down, you still have to consider that there's mortgage insurance premiums. So MIP insurance, which typically runs around 1.35%, or I'm sorry, 1.34%. So almost 2%. And then there's also closing costs. So your all in for purchasing a house is usually going to be around 7 to 7.5%, not 3.5. So it's 4% more than most people are thinking, which 4% doesn't sound like a lot. But if we're talking about $500,000, $1 million, even $200,000 for some people, that 4% can be a make or break on can we close this deal or not.
Yeah. I mean, 4% on 100,000 is 4,000, right? And there's nothing for 100,000. Mm-hmm. You multiply that by 4 on a $400,000 home is $16,000. It's like,
yep,
that adds up quick.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah, but I find the FHA is the most suitable for multifamily housing or for house hacking.
Okay. And that's kind of like what most people choose anyway, right? Or am I mistaken on that?
Yes, that's what most people do is the FHA loan because, again, not everyone has that money to put down. And remember with the FHA loan, you have to live in the house for a year.
Yep.
So it really does, I think, help people to do it because if you're going to live in the house for a year, it means you're going to choose a house that you want to live in for a year. So you're not buying POS properties, hoping that I'll be able to just keep this crap house for a little while and then I'll have crap tenants live inside there and they'll pay me and everything's going to work out fine. Because if you buy a bad property, then you're going to get bad tenants and you're also that are going to not pay you most likely. And also you're going to have a lot of additional costs in order to upkeep that bad property. Because even if you have a bad property, you're like, oh, I'm not going to take care of it. Well, if the roof goes out, if it's leaking water, if it's doing things and you have a tenant in there, in most states, you're legally required to fix it unless you want to become like a slumlord and constantly be moving in and out of the courts.
Yeah, don't be a slumlord, guys. Don't
try not to be a slumlord if you can.
Don't be a slumlord, please.
Yeah. But if you're house hacking, you're living in the house, I think your propensity to be a slumlord is substantially lower because that means you're slumlording yourself.
Like a Uno reverse card.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? What are we doing? Yeah, so we always like to buy in a decent neighborhood, somewhere where you would actually want to live. And when you do that, you also find people who also want to live there, right? You know, like Chris said, buying a bad neighborhood, not going to get the best tenants. Buying a good neighborhood, much better chance of getting someone who is a better tenant. We'll say that.
He's going to respect the house, respect you, pay the rent on time. You know, that's really what you want out of a tenant. They're just those three things: respect the house and pay me on time.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know, if you're nice to me, that's an added bonus, dude, but you don't have to be.
It is. That's a good bonus. My dad had a renter. This was one of our long-term renters. They were so nice. It's funny when you treat people with respect, you get respect. When you treat people nice, they're nice. And the renters love to just give us things like they're not using. They're like, we have a grapefruit tree in the backyard. I'm like, we know. And it's like,
it's like, we know we planted it before you moved in.
It's a hard thing to plant. Yeah. They're like, we're not eating it. Do you want some grapefruits? And they'll just give us a box of grapefruits. And kind of cool. It's like, we had this one tenant that they're like, hey, we were thinking about getting a new fridge. Is that all right? I'm like, is the fridge broken? They're like, no, there's nothing broken. We just wanted to get a different fridge. I'm like, sure, yeah. I mean, we'll get you another fridge. They're like, oh no, we already got it. And the other fridge was just like in the Arizona room, just with sodas in it. Yeah, I'm like, oh okay, that's what you want. Go for it. We're not gonna stop you. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like some houses you rent, they don't come with appliances. Some do. Such a weird concept.
Yeah, I know. There's. Did you know, like in Mexico, oftentimes when you rent a house, they don't even come with like washers and dryers and stuff.
So strange.
Or even a dishwasher. Like you have to bring your own dishwasher in.
What?
Yeah, so like it comes with nothing. So like no accessories, not even microwave. Like all of it's gone, and you have to bring everything, and you just get the house.
I could see there not being like a microwave or like a fridge. Even I've moved into one that didn't have a fridge. They'd bring their own fridge.
But like they take the dishwasher, so there's just like a blank area where they take the dishwasher out.
It's really funny.
So
it's kind of funny. Yeah, and there's other ones that are like furnished. Those ones are wild. I don't know. I think me personally, I wouldn't want a furnished one.
Well, I think it would depend, right? If you're going to be there for like 6 months, maybe, then yeah, a furnished apartment would be it.
Yeah,
especially for like people who are traveling for business. That's where they're typically looking for those furnished apartments.
Yeah, traveling nurses and like professionals. Yeah, no,
it's like a long-term hotel.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get into how someone can start house hacking.
Okay. Before we get into that, let's also talk about the conventional.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about conventional. Got to talk about that.
So there's the FHA loan that I would recommend, but if you can't qualify for that, another one is a conventional loan. Which if you can't qualify for the HFA for the Federal Housing Administration, it's probably harder to qualify for the conventional. But maybe you're someone who like I'm trying to house hack every 6 months. Yeah. I'm trying to do this quick. With an FHA, you can only do it every year. And just so you know, there's no one coming from the Federal Housing Administration and checking the house to be like, do you still live here for 1 year? But if you go to the bank and you try to qualify for another FHA loan, the bank's going to see that, hey, 6 months ago, you applied for one of these loans and you got it. And now you're applying for another loan. You're clearly not living in the house for a year. You're breaching the contract. I'm not going to give you another FHA loan. But with a conventional loan, you can do it as much as you want. But when you do a conventional loan, you do have a higher down payment compared to the Federal Housing Administration. Typically, it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 20% down, rather than the 3.5 that you get with the FHA. In addition to that, there's also stricter underwriting requirements, meaning that you have to have better debt to income ratio, better income, a better property typically, and then also a better credit score. Yep. And then if you're under 20% of how much of the property you have in equity, so meaning that you didn't put down at least 20%, you also have to pay for PMI, which is private mortgage insurance.
Mm-hmm. And just a quick question. What credit score should someone have if they want to buy a house? Say their credit's trashed, right? Mm-hmm. And they're 25 and at 30 they want to They want to buy a home, right? What number should they try and I mean, obviously 850 is the top, but at what point should they start looking?
It's really going to depend because what it's going to come down to is the lower your score, the higher your interest rate. So can you afford it with that interest rate? I would say anything you want to be probably over like a 720. 720,
Okay.
anything
Okay.
over 760, you're going to be inside the excellent credit range and you're going to be getting the best loans. But nowadays, you know, even like 5 years ago,
Yeah.
interest rates didn't really matter that much because they were all so low. But now an interest rate between, an average interest rate for someone with a good credit score is like 6%. But if you have a bad credit score, like if you're in the 600 range, that could be at 7%, 7.5%. And just that 1 to 1.5% interest rate is thousands and thousands of dollars over the life of that loan. So just those 1% interest rate could be tens of thousands of dollars.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So there really isn't an amount
No.
that's going to be dependent on the bank. But honestly, I'm going to say the higher you can get, the better. Once you're over like a 760, maybe a 780 at 800, you're really just kind of pissing in a pot. It doesn't really matter at that point. Like you've made it.
Yeah.
But the higher the better.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
a certain extent.
Absolutely. So conventional loans, higher down payments compared to the FHA and the VA loans, a little bit stricter, and the PMI, the private mortgage insurance, may be required if you are under the 20%, 25%.
It will be required if
Will
you're
be.
under the 20%.
Under 20%. Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. But the FHA loans are a little bit easier to get, and they have lower down payments. They're more suitable for most people, but you have to live in the property for a year before you leave and try and get another loan.
Yes.
Gotcha. Not to say you can't, live in it longer than a year. Obviously,
No, you
definitely. They want you to.
You probably should. If you're not ready to move to a next place to get a next property, or you don't have the money, just live in that house. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you decide to start house hacking, I think there's a lot of people that think like, oh, if I want to start a real estate empire, it needs to be this giant thing. But when you create a giant real estate empire, that also creates a lot of other headaches. So sometimes it's good to just figure out like, at what level am I happy, and just go with that. And if it's just one house hack and you have your house paid for, someone's paying you a little bit additional rent, you're bringing in money, and you're like, this is enough for me and I don't want to keep on doing this. Stop right there. Don't listen to other people who tell you that you need to have 60 properties in order to call yourself a successful real estate investor, to be a successful person. You define success for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Screw what everyone else thinks. Don't worry about that. Right. Don't worry about what other people think. Just worry about what you think about yourself. That's the main thing. The main thing.
So now that we told you, what house hacking is, how you qualify for house hacking loans, some of the benefits, I want to go into how to start house hacking. So the first thing you want to do is you want to identify your goals and make sure that you have a clear financial objective, that you have good cash flow and you have good risk tolerance. That's where this all starts with, right? If you're not good, you don't have good cash flow, if you don't know how much money you're bringing in, how much money is going out, if you don't know what the hell's going on, it's probably not good for you to purchase like a house regardless, but it's definitely not good for you to purchase a house and then have people dependent on you to be their landlord.
Yeah. Because if you default on your mortgage, that
only hurts you. Yeah, that only hurts you. But if you default on your mortgage and your house hacking, now you just kicked however many people are living with you out into the streets as well.
Yeah.
So you really want to make sure you have your stuff in order before bringing other people into it.
Absolutely.
So first you want to identify your goal. Then you want to do some market research. Make sure that you're identifying a suitable property in a high demand area that will appreciate, so you can get that benefit of appreciation on the property. You don't want to buy a dump. Even though it might be cheaper in the short term to be able to get into the house, it's going to cost you more on the long term in terms of both headache and your time for dealing with bad tenants and having to repair the damn property as it's constantly breaking because you purchased a property that you probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. Buy good and you'll be good.
Yeah, buy good, be good.
Buy good.
After that, you're going to go ahead and do your financial preparation. Make sure that you're saving for that down payment. Even though it's only 3.5%, 3.5% of $300,000 is quite a bit of money.
It is.
That's still like 11 grand.
It is.
After that, you're going to want to go ahead and improve your credit score. Like we said, try to have it as high as you possibly can. And then you want to assess the affordability. even if you don't get a tenant in there day one, if you're someone who's going to purchase a property and you're saying like, I can make this work, given that given that I have someone in the house on day one and there's never any downtime, you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to be sure that you have enough of a leeway that tenants are going to turn over at times. There might be time where the house is vacant and you need to be okay with that. You can't have it so close to the chest that if someone moves out, that you're basically like you're flipping it. You're not running a hotel. Not even hotels run at 100% capacity.
No, no, definitely. Like, there's got to be a deep margin for error, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't, when you're gambling like that with someone's living situation, you don't want to be riding right on the rails, you know?
Yep.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So after we have done that, we did our financial preparation, we've done our market research, we know what our goal is. We also need to make sure that we find the right property. So that means we're considering the location like we talked about. We're considering the property type. Do we want just a single family home with additional bedrooms? Do we want a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex? You need to figure that out, what's right for you. And then you also need to make sure that once you do that, you're projecting what you think the rental income is going to be. And does that make sense for the mortgage that you have to pay? I think the worst thing you could do is put yourself into a situation like a lot of people are doing right now that I find, because people want to get into real estate, but with rental price or with properties so high, they're paying 100. To make it easy, their mortgage is $1,000, but they're only able to collect $500 from rent. But they're trying to do this in order to press other people and say like, look, I'm a real estate investor, but you're digging yourself into a hole every single month because you can't pay off the rent, because with interest rates so high, with housing so high and rent so low right now, that's why it makes so much sense for people to continue to rent and not continue to buy houses. So this is something that is going to be situational dependent, right? You don't
Absolutely.
house hack just because you think this is what I need to do to be a successful person.
You hit it right on the nail. You hit it right on the nail, guys. Yeah. You shouldn't be doing this to impress people. You know, you got a father-in-law and they don't think you're successful. This is not something that you should just gamble on. You should do this because you know yourself. You know what kind of person it'll take to be a tenant, a property manager, and a house hacker. And you want to better your life, better keyword your life. But yeah, I mean, there's risk involved. There's risk involved, but this is the lowest risk you can probably have when getting into real estate investing. And it's a great stepping stone to even more. You know, if you want to invest in more fourplexes or go up to multifamily or continue staying at single family, it's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stepping stone. And it's something that you can do maybe even right now based on where you're living without changing much. You know, it's difficult to get a property under contract, right? But if you're already living in the property and you got, you know, the office is empty, you know, it doesn't get much easier than that, right?
Yeah. And the nice thing with like Airbnb and stuff is you can always try it out. Maybe you don't want to bring in someone and sign a multi-month contract, but maybe you try just saying, hey, can I rent out the room on Airbnb for like a night and see if I like it?
Yep.
Give it a try. I know people even will do it with like traveling nurses and stuff like that. And they'll open up their homes to people who are doing things like that, and collect some additional income. It doesn't need to be Airbnb or some sort of like crazy formal business. I mean, you could even have a friend who's like, hey, I'm going to be in town for 2 weeks for a wedding. Can I stay with you and pay you some rent?
Yeah. Simple as that. Simple as that. Is there, what else we got? Well, I know there's more. I know there's more.
Yeah, you got to do tenant screening. After we found the house, we know we have good rental income. Tenant screening, you need to ensure you find reliable tenants to minimize your income disruption from them not paying rent and property damage. And this is one of the benefits of house hacking, because since you're going to be living in the property for a year, it really benefits you to find good people to be your neighbor. Like, you're not trying to find Joe Schmo off the street who looks dirty. He comes in like, oh, hey, what happened with these last 5 houses that all burned down that you lived in? He's like, oh, I don't know. They always just kind of burned down. I like to leave my stove on. Like, you're going to be like, okay, well, you're not the person you're going to live with. Additionally, if you tell the person, hey, I'm going to be living next door, I'm the property manager, don't tell them that you're the landlord, but say like, I'm the property manager, I'm on site, and this is the kind of lifestyle that I live. Well, people are going to be self-selecting. If you tell them, hey, I'm a college student. I'm going to be partying every single night, and someone's going to come in as a family. They're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this. But if you tell them, hey, I'm a family. Like it's me and my family. I have a kid. We like to brew beer and sleep on the weekends. Then ideally, you're going to be bringing in someone who has the same lifestyle as you, and it's like, oh, I'm down for that. I want to be there. So you have your tenants self-selecting to be in your property. And then the final thing is sometimes you might want to look into property management as you continue to grow this. You certainly don't have to grow it, but as you do grow, you can certainly look to optimize your return and optimize your time by having a property manager, especially if you want to move on and continue to do this house hack. So you could do a house hack for a year, get your first duplex, do it for a year, then move on, buy it, bring someone in to live inside the house that you or live inside the property you were in, move on to your next property and do it again, do it again, do it again. You do that for 3-4 years, you now have 8 properties that are yours.
Bingo. And just like that, your life can change. Just like that, you have something to pass down to your kids. Just like that, maybe when you get married, you don't have to have your spouse work, right? Just like that, things can change. You can go on more vacations. You can be financially freedom. You can be financially independent. You can be financially freedom.
Yeah.
You can be free. But yeah, I mean, it's a great way to diversify your portfolio. It's a great way to make some extra money. It's a great way to try something new. And that's what we're all about here on the channel, is trying things that are new, trying things that people are talking about, trying things that have worked for eons and bringing them into our world. And we love that.
Yep. So that's pretty much what house hacking is. And I think that's a really good place for people to start. Our action step of the week was, hopefully you already got it started, but if you already have a house and you have some extra bedrooms and maybe you don't have kids running around, I mean, obviously I would think if I have kids, I'm not going to be doing house hacking.
No,
like
I don't want anybody near my kid.
I'm not going to risk that, but maybe you have a family member, like a cousin or something like that, who needs a place to stay. That still constitutes as a house hack. They can come and stay with you and pay you. So maybe you could do something like that. Look into something like that. Or if you don't own a property yet and you're looking to purchase your first property, look into a house hack as a good way to start a real estate empire that you can start with, or just a way to pay down that mortgage or purchase a house that's bigger than what you could afford alone, by bringing in a tenant, someone to live with you and help you pay down that mortgage.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment of the Friday podcast. Now we get on to our next segment called Viewer Mailbag on Friday Feedback. Were you ready to close that chapter? You ready to get into the next chapter? Let's do it.
Let's get it.
Alrighty. So this is where we read something from our Viewer Mailbag, if you're new here. Is it dumb to pay this much rent? I'm 29, male, and I'm thinking about moving back to a high cost of living city that I used to live in. When I lived there, I was much happier compared to where I'm living now. However, the obvious downside is that rent is much higher. I've had roommates before, but I really want to live on my own, right? Less stress, etc.
Yeah.
The one bedroom I'm looking at is around $2,200, which comes out to about 34% of my net monthly income and around 25% of my gross monthly income. I'd still like to be able to max out my Roth IRA, 401k, and continue to make additional investments monthly into my brokerage account. I'm projecting that I'd be able to save $2,000 to around $2,300 a month. However, I'm still having a hard time swallowing giving out $2,200 in rent every month, as a part of me feels it's even stupid to pay that much, even though I'll be a little bit happier. I originally wanted to buy a home, but I don't think it's feasible since I'm a single income household and most of the condos have really high HOAs, assessments, rising property taxes, and insurance. Should I reconsider paying this much in rent? I feel like I'm in a good position financially, but I just want to hear some others' opinions. Some additional information. My salary is $115,000, great salary, with a 20% bonus, expecting a promotion soon, as well as a salary increase. Nice. Debt, none, also nice. Savings, $160,000, also very nice. And the 160,000 is a mix of cash and brokerage accounts. Monthly expenses, not spending a lot. I spend most of my time outside in the nature. So I really just spend money on food. That's basically it. Thank you for your help. From Rent May Sting, but the joy it'll bring in solitude's wing. I like that. That's good. So he's making a lot of money. He's got a great amount in savings. He said he's 29.
Yeah, this young man's doing very well.
Very, very well. Very well.
He's definitely on his path to financial independence.
No honey, no girlfriend in the picture, no guy friend in the picture. Do you think? I feel like this is another like hack. It's a little bit of a hack. If you have a girlfriend, they can pay half the rent as well, half the expenses. So a little bit of a house hack right there. But he's not in a relationship, so you can't expect any of that. I definitely agree with what he's saying though. Like sometimes when the area you're living in is a little bit depressing.
Yeah.
Well, when you go into a different area, you're like, wow, this place is awesome. They have great sushi here. They have things to do here. This is amazing. Good people here. Love the energy, nature, all this fun stuff. And then you come back home and it's like a desert.
Yep.
This place isn't for me. So I definitely get the psychological aspect about it. But what do you have for him, Chris?
Yeah. So like you said, like I understand where he's coming from and saying, I was happier where I was, but can I really justify $2,200 additional a month in order to live? And as someone who I grew up in San Diego, so $2,200 or $2,200 a month for a single bedroom or a single room, it's not that bad, honestly. And I know that's like sad to say, but that's honestly not that bad.
Really
like that could be a lot worse. That's not that bad. So what I would say to that is, if you were legitimately happier there, like life is not all about just saving money. I thought for a long time that it was all about number in a bank account. And if I saved and I scraped and I hated life for long enough and I reached this magic number in a bank account, I would finally be happy. And I'll tell you what, that day does not come. Even when you hit that amount in your bank account, you're still going to be not happy. So life is meant to be lived. It sounds like you're maxing out your Roth, you're maxing out your 401k, you're saving money. And it sounds like you're going to be able to continue to still do those things and save $2,000 a month. I think it'd be silly for you to continue to live a life smaller than what you're currently living in order to save some money on rent, especially if you will be happier there. Now, that's not even to throw into the fact, like, can we house hack this? Like, we just talked for like 30 minutes on house hacking. I know you said that one of the big thing you want is to be solitude. You want your own area. So rather than like purchasing a single family home where you have to have a roommate, can you buy a duplex where you have a wall in between? This could be a really easy way for you to purchase a house, get someone to help you there. You could have your own space and have someone to pay down the mortgage for you, that you're not having that huge out of pocket $2,200 for the rent. You might be building up that mortgage or building up that equity in the home and having someone to help pay down the mortgage, so that your mortgage payment that you're paying out for yourself could be less than $2,200 for all I know, or it could be about the same, but at least you're building equity in a home as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He didn't mention what his old rent was. He only mentioned what it is now, $2,200. And like, let's say it's $1,000 cheaper, right? But your price is miserable. Well, for $12,000 a year, would you want to be happier and enjoy life, or be content with having a crappy life, but you saved an extra $12,000, $1,000 a month? It's like, how much is the money worth to you, versus how much is your happiness worth to you? And it seems like he's valuing money more than happiness, even though, he's moving back into a happier place.
Well, it sounds like right now, from what I'm getting, is he's not going to move back to that place where he's happier until until he justifies to himself that it's worth paying that money. So he's staying wherever he is right now until he can justify to himself that it's worth moving to. Yeah,
I think he wants us to tell him that it's okay to move somewhere that's a little bit more expensive to be happier.
And I think, and I'm here to say, I
Yeah.
think we can both say like it is 100% because you're doing all the right things. Now, could it be maximized more? Yeah, 100%. But you can always maximize more. You can always make more money. You can always save more money. You can always do better. But at some point, you need to just say like, this is enough, and I am happy with what I have, and I'm happy with my life. And it sounds right now like you're making good money, but you're not. You could be more happy if you live inside of another place. And this is a place that isn't like new. It's not like you're going to be moving to a place and hoping you're going to be happier there. You've lived there before and you were happier and you miss that. So now every day you're comparing the reality of like, this is what I have right now, but I know that when I was there, I was so much happier.
Yeah.
And I always think about it this way. When you're young, you have energy, but you don't have money. When you become a little bit older, like you are right now, you have money, but you don't have time. And then when you become old, you have time, but you don't have energy.
When you get older. Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Okay.
So right now you're in that time where you have money and you have energy, but you don't have time. But like you could create, you want to be able to live that life that's going to be the best that you can. And sometimes the location that you're in is going to help you to live that best life. And who knows what could come from it. You might be able to meet your future partner in that location that you used to love. And again, 2,200 a month is not that bad.
Yeah. Especially it depends on the situation you're in, but 2,200 a month when you're making 115,000 plus 20% bonus and a possible promotion on the horizon, you can stomach it.
Yeah.
You can
because
stomach it.
we've talked about the 50-30-20 rule, right? Of 50% of your income should go to your fixed costs, 30% to your desires, 20% to savings. Well, even at the worst case scenario, this is only going to be 33% to 34% of his net income. So that's not that bad. He still has another 16% to go to utilities and everything, which it isn't going to be. So he'll still stay way below that. And it sounds like since he's not spending very much on wants, he'll be able to still funnel a bunch of money to his savings, towards those investments, towards maxing out his Roth, his IRA, emergency funds. I mean, this guy's only 29 years old. He's already amassed, I can't remember, 100 and some odd $1,000.
Like 60. Yeah, it's a lot.
Like he's doing a good job. And I know that you want to continue to grow your wealth. And it's nice to see that number, but that number means nothing if you're miserable.
True. It's true. Yeah, it's really true. You don't understand how good happiness feels when you're looking at it's like, oh, I would be so much happier over there. And then you get there, it's like, I was miserable back then. I mean, Chris, I know you talk about it a long time. You were in a job that you despised, right?
Mm-hmm.
And once you left it and like compared to your life now, looking back on it, it's like, it's crazy. It's two different Chris's, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because you think like, oh, this is fine. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm fine. But when I look back on my life, then like I was a miserable person. I mean, was I functioning? Yeah, I was functioning. I was actually doing quite well. But like compared to now, if you took me right now, who owns his own company, basically wakes up, goes and works around and like does his own thing, does a podcast, does research, has fun, talks to his clients, helps people live their best life from a financial standpoint. And they put me back inside that same like sales role where I was just like every day making cold calls, selling stuff I didn't care about, to do things to like make money for somebody else. I'd freak out.
Yeah.
It'd be really tough.
Yeah. Once you've tasted freedom, going back into that prison it's tough. It's very tough. But yeah, I mean, I hope the information we told you today helps you.
Yeah, I really hope it does. And like, we can tell you like it's not all about the money. It's not all about the dollars and cents. Your happiness is very important. We are here to give you permission to live your life. Live your life the way that you want it to be. Even if FI isn't the thing that you're going for, even if you just want to live a best life, achieving financial independence doesn't need to be the goal. But I think the biggest thing is people who go down this path, I just want you to live a life of intention. Know yourself, know thyself, and look for what you're looking for and try to find it every single day with intention. Just go through your life with intention by understanding what the heck you're doing.
Absolutely. Living your life with intention. But yeah, I hope that'll be it for Fi Friday feedback, the portion. Now we will get on to win of the week. Would you like to start with your win of the week, Chris?
Sure, of course. So, me, I'm a big travel hacking guy. So my wife and I, we actually just booked another trip to Pittsburgh, and we only paid $32 for our nice swanky hotel. We ended up using our Capital One Venture X cards. They give us a $300 credit. So my wife has a card and I have a card. So we both booked a night at this hotel back to back. And then we just called the hotel and said, hey, this is for the same one. So we'll just stay inside the same room. And then we also use our Southwest points to fly us from here to Pittsburgh. So we only had to pay for one airfare with points. And then my wife got to fly for free. So we only paid like $22 in fees for that. So without credit card hacking, there'd be no way we'd be able to afford this because it's only a 2-day trip to Pittsburgh, but it's for a friend's wedding. Mm-hmm. And, we're just so lucky that we were able to find credit card points because really it is like the life hack of life hacks. There's no way my wife and I would be able to travel, like 6 times a year, to all the destinations we do if it wasn't for credit card hacking. Cause most of the time, like worst case scenario, we're at least getting like a 50% discount on what the average person would spend to go to places. With like this one here, we spent $32 for 2 nights in a hotel, which would have cost us $700 because it's a nice hotel. Plus airfare would have cost an additional like $400, maybe $400 or $500. We paid $22.
Heck yeah.
So for $50, we're going to be able to go to Pittsburgh, stay in a nice hotel with our friends. But more importantly than staying in a nice hotel, more importantly than flying, we're going to get to be there for our friends and celebrate their wedding and, be there for them. So it's amazing to be able to do those types of things. So if you're interested in learning more about credit card points, how we're able to travel the world, please go back, listen to episode 30 and 31. Those are the 2 parts all about credit card hacking. We really broke it down. I told every single hack that I have accumulated over the last decade or so of doing this.
That's awesome. I was trying to figure out, I was like, why is he going to Pittsburgh? Straight out, like right off of Japan. I was like, damn, you going to Japan? He's like, where's the next trip, Chris?
No, the next trip, homie, is to British Virgin, is to St. Thomas. I'm heading out in a few weeks.
Dude, I love St. Thomas. I'm such a fan of that. I love that whole area.
I've never been.
Anyways, I like it. It's one of my favorite areas in the Caribbean. So for my win of the week is I have a weird amount of neighbors moving out, and I don't know if there was like a bad blood or what, but they decided that they don't need everything that they're moving out with. So they left a lot of stuff out, and they're like, to all the neighborhood, they're like, if you guys want any of this stuff, you guys are free to take it. We don't want it anymore. We're leaving. We're up and going. And I got so.
Dom, is it because you just moved into your neighborhood and now everyone's like, I'm out?
They see the handsome young guy on the block, like, man, too handsome for this neighborhood. I gotta get out. Listen, when a 10 rolls in and you're 8, you get bumped down to a 7 or a 6. Okay,
like, I can't compete.
Anyway, can't compete in the marketplace anymore. I gotta geo arbitrage and go somewhere.
So for our
else.
Listeners that only listen to the pod, please look at Dom's beautiful face. Go to YouTube, like, subscribe, see that glory.
Anyway, no, I got a lot of stuff. I got this like really nice coffee table. I got an indoor rug. I got an outdoor rug. I got a like car jack, shovel,
nice.
Like a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, and there was like crazy stuff out there, like an Xbox was out there. I didn't grab the Xbox. I don't need an Xbox. But yeah, it was just surprising to me that like somebody would be willing to throw away some nice stuff. It's like one man's trash is another man's treasure. And to me, I love these 2 rugs. They're so nice.
You cleaned them, right? You like carpet cleaned them and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, come on now. What are we doing here? But yeah, that's my win of the week. I love getting a little free
That's
stuff,
awesome.
So that is my win of the week. And I'm currently in my backyard. I'm not refinishing, but I didn't really like the color that was on the coffee table. So right now I'm scraping off the paint and I'm gonna sand it down. And then I want it to be look more like a natural wood finish. So I'm gonna put like maybe a little stain on it to make it look a little bit more natural. But yeah, that's my win of the week.
That's nice. I like your another man's trash or one man's trash, another man's treasure. So twice a year, twice a year in my neighborhood, we do like a big. Everyone puts their garbage out on the street, and then people will come, or like the garbage man comes and he'll take everything off. So it's really funny whenever they do that, because my wife and I will take our bikes and we'll ride around and we'll be like, we'll just look for stuff. So last time they did that,
Yeah.
we ended up getting like all of our windows have screens, like the screens outside of them,
Yeah.
and some of them have broken. Well, somebody got rid of their old screens. They just had like new-ish screens out there that, since all the houses around here are like the same house, within reason, the same windows,
Yeah.
we just took all
Yeah.
their old screens. We replaced our older screens. So now we have like, medium screens. So that was pretty funny. We've also gotten, on those days, our backyard, that like all of our like lounge chairs where my wife likes to tan on, that was all from people getting rid of it. I just threw it in the back of my truck, drove it back here. We just purchased new new cushions. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
seat
like
covers.
the wicker
Yeah.
seats, they were completely fine, and we still use them today. People come over like, these are really nice wicker seats. We're like, thank you. We found them on the street.
Thank you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Hey, if it works, it works, man. It works. It's better than spending more money. Like those 2 rugs, I was like, man, I love these rugs. These rugs are beautiful. And I was like, if they were $150, I don't know if I think they're that beautiful, but because I got them for free, they're so beautiful. They're the best.
It's always funny too. One time, like my table downstairs, if you if you like lift up the cover on it, the tablecloth, you'll see there's a few like what's it called, like glass imprints and whatnot.
Like glass
and
marks.
The reason for that is I got that table back in college for nothing, and I still have that same table.
Yeah.
And then my wife was like, "Hey, we need to get a new table," and I was like, "Why?" And she's like, "Well, because this one is kind of old and it's doesn't look great." I'm like, "Okay, that's fair." So like, well, let's just go on Facebook Marketplace. We got a new table there for cheap. She's like, "Well, I don't want one because they're always a little bit damaged on the top, but it doesn't really matter because we put a tablecloth over the thing anyways. So who cares what it looks like underneath?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So just things
really
to think about with Fi. Like, you don't always have to spend the greatest to get the newest greatest thing. It's okay sometimes to think about it and say, do I really need this?
So true. So true. So true. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace, I can vouch for that wholeheartedly. Yeah, I'm selling some stuff on there right now. I'm selling a moped on there, a pink moped.
You have a pink moped?
I have a listen. When you're as jacked as I am, ripped up, 12-pack, you need a pink moped. Now, one of the things I just said was incorrect, was a complete lie, but I do have a pink moped. So yeah, there's that. Working on the jack part. I'm working on it. Trying to get like Chris. Chris is, you guys can't tell, Chris has got like massive biceps. Massive. The man's jacked. But but yeah, I think Facebook Marketplace is a great thing. I know we got a little bit off topic, but hey, that's what the Friday pod's all
You're
about.
here to just hear us.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, guys.
No, man,
else?
I think that's
Chris,
it. I look forward to talking to our viewer again next Monday. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. And until next time, this is the Fi Guys signing off. If you found any value today, please tell a friend about the Fi Guys, and we can't wait to see you. Please like, subscribe, smash that like button. We are here to continue to serve you guys. And until next time, later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.